before I say anything, I want to say the following. Face-offs have very little to do with how the fight will go. Um, and really, it's more like a ritual that happens. There's no actual meaning behind it, as far as what's going to happen in the fight or anything like that. Um, it's just, for show. It's for the people. Some fighters believe that, some fighters actually believe that it's going to help them in the fight, or that it's going to tell, how confident the other person is, and, that's going to um, equal to victory or something. But the truth is that most face-offs, um, really don't matter. It's just, most of the time, it's people that like face-offs a lot. They're people that are not really sure of themselves, and they're searching for um, some guarantee that they're gonna win. I mean, um, and so they kind of do the face-off to see, if they could intimidate their opponent to a certain point to where it'll be easier to win a fight or something like that. And a lot of times you see aggression in a lot of fights, and you see in a lot of face-offs, and you see somebody push someone else or strike someone else, their opponent, in order to get into the other person's mind because they feel unsure of themselves. Um, having said that, that is not always the case. Sometimes they really are mad because of something that happened. You know, something that the other person said or something like that angers the person. Um, Sometimes that does happen. What I'm saying is when there's no cause for whatever happens, and then all of a sudden one of them strikes the other or pushes the other. But leading up to this face off, there was a lot of talking by Plant, and Canelo didn't like it. Some people say that it was because he mentioned his mother. I don't think that was the case. I think what was bothering Canelo was that Plant was talking about the supposed um, PED use from PED use from Canelo. But even though it has been proven that he wasn't cheating, that it was because of consumption of meat, people that hate Canelo are still going to bring that up. The thing is, when an actual fighter starts talking like the fans, usually that's when fighters, in my opinion, they're not mentally ready for a fight. So once, for example, once Wilder starts talking like his fans, um, that means that the talk from the people is starting to get to you, which means that you're not concentrated on the fight. That's why it's good to stay away from social media if you're a fighter, or if you're, you know, even a creator. Um, Try not to get too swayed by it, unless you're doing something that's related to pop culture, stuff like that. But as far as boxers or fighters are concerned, it's best to um, not be influenced by the fans too much, and take everything with stride. And if you start talking like the fans, then your mentality isn't going to be right. And Killer Plant definitely sounds like he's not in the right mindset. The same thing kind of is happening to, or did happen to Wilder. Um, once once the once Wilder started sounding like his fans, that's when you could kind of see the beginning of the end. Um, so um, so yeah. But this is just what I want to say in the beginning, that most of the time, um, as I was saying, most of the time face-offs really don't mean anything. But in this case, I saw a lot of things. I saw a lot of things in their faces. I saw a lot of things in the reaction of the people online. Um, that pretty much tells me what the outcome is gonna be. And usually that's not the case. Usually, if it's a standoff and it was only like a push and a shove, which that's the normal stuff that happens. Usually it's just a push, or you know, um, yeah. Usually it's just a push. Sometimes it's a slap. That's when it gets carried away. The next level is a slap. That's a little bit too far. And you start striking, with ball of fist. That's the third level. Um, and that's when people start pressing charges, which Canelo was smart about it. Which is that's what I want to get into. How this face off and this scuffle, it's pretty similar to what goes on in the streets a lot, or what I've seen happen a lot in street fights or scuffle stuff like that. So usually what you see, like in a park or wherever you get together with your friends, maybe you're in your backyard or something, and somebody starts beef or whatever. Usually, what happens is, if they don't want to fight, if they don't want to fight, which I believe Caleb Plant and Canelo weren't planning on fighting here, but sometimes things happen and start escalating. Um, I'm sorry. Anyways, so usually that's what happens, right? They bump chests or they get face to face to each other. Um, they were already touching. So when you already touching chests, that's already a sign that something's gonna have to happen. Either they separate you. So sometimes what happens is they want, when you're in, when people do this in the streets or whatever you want to call it, outside of a ring, they want somebody to separate them. The thing is, nobody was getting in between them or anything because it was a face-off. Now, for some reason, there was nobody there to protect them. I feel like this was set up for. I think this was. I'm not saying it was set up like this whole thing was planned, because I don't think Killer Plant wanted to get his eye hurt like that. What I think is that this was set up to anger. I seriously think this was set up to anger Canelo, and it was set up for Caleb Plant to sucker punch him. And then they were gonna step in to prevent, any retaliation, or an actual fight from from taking off. That's just my opinion. Maybe it's just a theory or whatever, but that's fine. You don't have to listen to that. But um, but the way both handled it is very streetwise, very street like. Um, so the first person that did something was Canelo. He pushed him, right? He pushed him, which, by the way you could tell, the way Caleb moved back and stumbled, um, how strong Canelo is. He doesn't look very strong, but if you look, if you look, if you look at his legs and his butt, no, no homo, as say, or pause, double pause. Um, you could tell where most of his strength is coming from his legs. Now, anytime you're trying to um, build a fighter, or if you're trying to train, you gotta build your legs first. You gotta strengthen your legs and establish, a good stance, that is fit for a fighter, right? So, whatever martial arts you're thinking of, if it's strike based or even if it's not striking, they're always trying to establish your stance as far as your feet goes, and then your upper body, accordingly to how your feet are or whatever, or what you're trying to accomplish. But what I'm trying to say is the most important thing, you're taught in any martial arts, is your feet placement, your foot placement, and also the strengthening of the legs, because that's where the power is going to come from. So just looking at their build, I could tell, that's where Canelo gets most of his strength. And then when he pushed him back, I mean, you could just see, just the force. You could see that he has really good control of how he sends his energy um, forward. Now, I'm not trying to be mystic or anything like that, but you could tell when a person, the way they move, that they have a good idea and almost to instinct of how the whole body mechanism is supposed to move in order for you to land a shot with authority. And that push, you kind of could see his whole body kind of recoil slightly, and then boom. You're not supposed to bend your knees too much, but in the beginning, they do, like, for example, karate people put you in a horse stance. That's not how you're gonna fight, but it is to strengthen your legs so that you could get used to being in a semi-bent position, as far as your knees go. But anyways, you're supposed to be able to generate strength from slight bends. So um, that's how you gain power, by not having to recoil or bend too much and then create force from there. So think about like the 1 inch punch, or think about people that you don't think they have good technique, but they happen to um, create power from short distances. Um, so this is a concept that could be used in your training, and it could be used in your training so much to the point to where it becomes instinct, and it becomes almost ingrained into, or infused into your fighting style. Um, and a lot of football players do training like this. Um, I used to train with a football player. I forgot his name, by the way, um, but he was really good at training that aspect, and he ingrained in me how to how to train your body, or keep that mentality in your brain of small recoils, um, big explosive pushes, or power, right? Um, and it's very lightweight that's involved. It's very technical workouts that are involved in it. Um, but it does, with time, once you start getting your body, it's all about getting your body used to it. That's what the whole exercises are about, is getting your body used to moving, generating power from very little recoil. And this is what makes a good fighter, or a good athlete, pretty much a good good striking fighter for, like, for example, football, wrestling, even boxing. Football, I mean, like American football. Um, but really, it'll make you good at a lot of things. But anyways, getting back to this to this video, or to this face off. Um, so you could see Caleb Plant, thinking, I'm just gonna come at him. But if I start off, running at him, he's gonna realize that I'm coming to attack him. So what he decided to do was a very, street like mentality, very street like thing that he did. He walked to him smoothly, like he wasn't gonna do anything. Very straight posture, kind of selling a feint. So once you're in a fight, both of your hands are up. You're in a fight. But if both of your hands are down, um, nobody knows they're in a fight. So in the streets, a lot of people, it's not like that they train to do it. Some people probably do. For example, karate. The reason your hands are in the waist is because you're training to go from 0 to 100, really fast, and connect the shot, and get out of there, or knock the person out. Which usually that's what happens when you get sucker punch or slapped. Um, which is what Caleb Plant was trying to do here. He was trying to sucker punch Canelo by walking up to him slowly. That's why if you've been in the hood, or if you live in a rough area, sucker punching is very common, and usually they sneak you from behind. Sometimes they don't sneak you from behind. They come up to you, kind of smooth like. What happens is they show you one hand, maybe they have a Rolex or something, or something to distract you. So they lift one hand up, and then they come at you with the hand that you don't see. When you're in a fight, that does happen. It's called feinting. You throw one hand up, cover the vision or distract them from the vision, then you come up with the real shot. But when you're not in a fight, the elements change, and the distractions, the feints are different. They require more of you selling the feint with smoothness, or with calmness. So this is what Caleb Plant was trying to do. He was trying to walk up slowly, act like he was going to stand, and put his hand in front of him. Whether you like it or not, it does cause some kind of distraction, almost like elements of hypnosis into it, to where you see one hand, you kind of distracted, like, everything's calming down, and then um, he throws that left hook. Now you can say whatever you want to say. He was trying to hurt him with that one, because you could see where his energy was sent. It was sent towards the announcer, the guy who was in the middle, which means that most of his energy missed. A lot of people want to say that he caught him with his fingers, but if you've ever been in a fight, or you've ever seen fights, you can tell that his energy, didn't land where it wanted to. Because if he would have landed where it wanted to, he would have been set.